Opening mail packs. The video where I open my mail as if it's sealed boosters because I forgot what I ordered. Hey, it's Leah here, and we've got a LGS special from the weekend that I forgot in a box. Figured I'd finally get to it. Just a couple of cards that I picked up. Some of them been in videos recently. I thought, yeah, that's an interesting card, and then some of them were just kind of stumbled upon. So we have Kosi's Trickster. That's one that I saw in a video and just hadn't found online anywhere that I was willing to pay for, but my local LGS had it, so picked it up. And then whenever an opponent shuffles, you can put a 1/1 counter on this. There is a lot of shuffling nowadays, isn't there? Be nice if you could just like sneak this onto the battlefield, and then when everybody's shuffling before the game starts, how many counters would it get? A lot, right? Outmaneuver, another one that's been in a video, just a basic red combat trick. X target blocked creatures deal combat damage to defending player instead of the blocking creatures this turn. Doesn't have to be your creatures, you can mess with other people's combats. Mistmoon Griffin, it's another one that was in a video probably a while ago now. These things just kind of sit around on a list until I bother to get them. Flying, if it's put into any graveyard from play, remove it from the game, then put the top creature card from your graveyard into play. So whatever is in the graveyard before it. It's kind of an odd white card, and it could reanimate you something. So Equal Treatment. This one was probably in a video, but it's been on the list for a while too, so I don't remember anymore. If any source would deal 1 or more damage to a creature or player this turn, it deals 2 damage to that creature or player instead, and then you get to draw a card. So if you have an army of 1/1s, they'll all do 2, but if your opponent has an army buffed by Craterhoof Behemoth, it will do 1. Or no, it will do 2? It'll do 2. 2 each. Just 2. Ghost Town, I definitely saw that on a video somewhere. It either adds a colorless, or you can return it to your hand. Use it only during another player's turn. So you could play it and then not on your turn bounce it back, I guess. Can't remember why this was called out anymore. If you need a land that you can continuously replay late game, it would be great for that. If you needed that extra landfall trigger, you have a way to pick it up. Faces of the Past. So whenever a creature is put to a graveyard from play, tap or untap all creatures that share a creature type with it. It's an enchantment. So if a zombie dies, all of the zombies get tapped or untapped. Seemed like an odd card. If your creatures have tap abilities and one of them dies, it's probably handy because it could just reset your whole board to start over. Okay. Adamaro, I think. First to Desire. Power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in the hand of the opponent with the most cards. So whichever opponent has the biggest hand, that's his power and toughness. I guess if all of your opponents have no cards in hand, he would be a 0/0, but in EDH I suppose somebody will have a card. Oak Street Innkeeper, as long as it's not your turn, tapped creatures you control have hexproof. So I know there's a few green ones that have hexproof when they're untapped, and now I guess they'll have hexproof also when they're tapped, as long as this is out there. If you're doing things like crewing, there's a good chance that they're often tapped. Nullstone Gargoyle, I know this was in a video quite a while back. It flies, and whenever the first non-creature spell each turn is played, counter it. So kind of an odd counter ability, but it will just sit there and do that. So the first thing that would target it to get it off the field, as long as it's not a creature, still gets countered. Your opponent at least probably has to waste 2 removal on it, or they might ignore it and just play their creatures. Pandemonium, I know that's in a recent video, not that I can ever remember which one. Whenever any creature comes into play, that creature's controller may choose to have it deal damage equal to its power to target creature or player. So, kind of like how people use Perforos for enter the battlefield damage, this also allows enter the battlefield damage, except anybody can use it, so your opponents will be able to do it as well. Weight of Spires. Weight of Spires deals damage to target creature equal to the number of non-basic lands that creature's controller controls. So if you're facing down 5-color good stuff, you can probably hit something on their board pretty hard with this. There's a lot of newer good utility lands too that can hit. Phantom Steed. Here's a card I just kind of heard about and thought, if people are talking about it, it must be good, right? No idea what it did. Still don't, actually. We'll find out now. It's a flash. When Phantom Steed enters the battlefield, exile another target creature you control until it leaves the battlefield. Whenever it attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of the exiled creature. Accept its illusion in addition to its other types. Sacrifice that token at the end of combat. I don't have plans. Maybe I could make some, but I don't know. It definitely does a thing. Night Dealings. Whenever a source you control deals damage to another player, put that many counters on Night Dealings. For 2 and 2 black, remove X counters from Night Dealings, search your library. For a non-land card, with converted mana cost X, so X has to be exact in this case, reveal it, put it into your hands, and shuffle. So you never actually have to sacrifice Night Dealings. You just accumulate counters, search for stuff, accumulate more counters, search for more stuff. You have to pay 2 and 2 black every time, but it is repeatable, and repeatable is often nice. I imagine you'd find maybe 1 or 2 things per time you used the card. Moonring Mirror. Whenever you draw a card, remove the top card of your library from the game face down. Okay. The beginning of your upkeep, you may remove your hand from the game. If you do, put into your hand all the other cards removed from the game with this. So let's say it sits out there for 3 turns. You play out your hand, the beginning of your upkeep. And so before your draw step, if you have no cards in hand, you can go Okay, cool. I'm gonna pick up whatever's been removed with Moonring Mirror. Moonring Mirror doesn't sacrifice itself or anything, so your next draw is still going to put another card under Moonring Mirror. So as long as you can play out the pile of cards that you picked up, you're never removing things. So you get the beginning of upkeep. You may remove your hand from the game. I'll have to check if you can pick that hand back up if it qualifies as cards removed with Moonring Mirror and you just get it back later. Odd card. Last one is Order of the Sacred Torch. You can just tap and play one and counter a black spell. So that's it. It's just a white card that can counter a black card. Not usually in my repertoire of loving black cards, but I thought wouldn't be horrible to have one on hand. They really don't print cards like these nowadays with just random color hated counters on them. So that's what we got from the LGS this weekend. It's an odd selection, but we'll see what I can make with it.